I've practiced as a registered nurse for 40 years at a local hospital here.
A massage therapist for the last 19 years.
I sometimes don't always see things the way other people do.
I was concerned about EMF, radiation, radio frequency, as I have been suffering from this and making baby steps, but not enough. And I even went to see a medical doctor, and they wanted me to put on medications. And at that point in time, I felt like I wasn't ready to take that step, that I needed to do some more research. The main symptom was fatigue. My cardiac arrhythmia that has decreased significantly. I'm no longer on cardiac meds. Just that agitation in my brain, that was the best way to describe it. It wasn't quite a brain zip and it wasn't quite a headache. I had to really limit any exposure of being on the iPad or even my cell phone. I have only text and very limited contact with the cell phone because of it. That's how bad it was.
I was concerned about the electromagnetic effects on my body, such as headaches and fatigue and things like that. And that's a lot of that's been in the news, and I've been reading up on that. But the other thing is that at that time especially, I was both professionally and socially. I'm a people person. I'm with people, and am a lot. And while that's an asset, I'm very sensitive to their feelings and their energy, and that's definitely an asset. But sometimes I would feel very zapped or take on their energy or their emotions that when they walk away, I've still got them.
When you are working on people, there is this sort of mixing of the energy field, and it's something called transference can even happen. And we learned about that in massage school.
We didn't have the cell phones that we have now, and we had all of these, when you were driving, you had these Garmins and all those electronic devices. Oh boy, I would get in a car and, I'd be traveling around for work and we'd need it to get to where we needed to go. And because, we don't usually use the paper maps anymore, but man, we turn on a Garmin. Oh, I would want to cry. I would want to jump out of the car. It was like, I didn't know. I knew it was the device because it turned on. I'd feel it in my body, and I'm like, "Oh my God, what is that thing?" It was like, "Oh, it's a Garmin." Everybody else, all the other guys are like, "What is that? What's the matter with you?" Nothing's wrong with me, man. I'm telling you, I feel it. Just shut the thing off. Just get the directions and write it down on a piece of paper. Shut the thing off. Oh, it went on for so long. Oh God, it hurt so much in my body. It would make me physically cry sometimes if it was too long of a drive, and I'd have a headache and.
Experience things that I have a really difficult time dealing with. And somehow or another, it all came back down to the vibrations and the frequencies and the energy flows. And I needed something sort of like an antenna in order to help me keep my focus going.
I was having a lot of issues with where I work. I was in the schools and they were just starting to institute the computers. And so those early computers were worse than the ones now, but I couldn't tolerate it. I would get really dizzy. I'd get weak, and I realized I can't function in this environment, and it became more and more mandatory to the point where I had to leave the school, and it was heartbreaking for me. I loved my job, I loved where I was working, I loved the kids, but at the end of that school year, I knew I was going to I'd have to find some other solutions because I was having difficulty functioning with it.
I need to find some focus or I am going to be completely destroyed.
I got the standard shield, and I was really grateful that you guys had somebody that would see auras and see which level of shield I would need. And I only needed that one that the standard shield, and that actually worked. It was like a miracle.
It's a significant lifesaver for me, you know, and at the same time, I sure wish I didn't need it. But it really shows me that I'm still pretty dependent on this.
I could actually stay in the car. You know, it didn't affect me. That it's not the nature, it's the electronic devices that get me, you know. But I happened to go into Boston, boy, holy cow, boy, I felt so drained and so, I didn't know what it was at first. And I was like, I didn't know what it was. And I was like, now I know. Now I knew then. You know, it was like later in the day that I was like, I kind of felt that I lost my shield. Oh no, I'm charging it. It's at home. And I said, well, I'm going to wear it. And I went back into Boston like maybe a couple months later, and I noticed I didn't have that sensitivity to. I didn't have that feeling that draining feeling that I got when I went into town with all the electronic and all those things going on.
I put it on, and by Sunday, I had noticed an incredible difference. And that difference was I wasn't agitated anymore. My brain felt very calm. I was just, even the mood was amazing. It's like I got back to my normal self in 24 hours. I can be on my iPad for more than an hour. Woohoo!
What we're talking about is following the light and the consciousness. And so the pendant, the vibrational frequencies that are in it are in line with my own personal belief structures.
It keeps me, and everyone else, you know, in their own energy space.
I can be more my authentic self and hold my own energy and be compassionate, empathetic, and really be present with others and not take on their energy as I used to. And that's huge. I've also noticed, I mean, I still do sometimes get headaches, and I really did at that time have a problem with fatigue. And a lot of that has gotten better.
Shield gives me a peace of mind.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's been a long time, but I've been very grateful to have it. Without you guys, I'd be lost.
Getting it for several of the grandchildren, especially the one that's a diabetic and has to carry his cell phone with him. Excited about protecting them too. I highly recommend it. It's a life changer.